Yeah. Yeah, everyone. So today we are going to be talking with a doctor. We were here earlier on talking to him about cancer, but we had some internet disconnection going on. I'm truly, truly sorry. But I've sent the link to him again, so he's going to join through that link so we can continue our discussion about cancer. So if you're just joining this particular stream and you're lost, please go check the other stream about the first stream that we opened to. Yes, is here now. Yeah. So if you're here and you're lost, please join the first stream to understand what is going on in this current stream. Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Doctor, I'm
okay,
so sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry. So we just have to wait for people to start coming in again. So it will take about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So let's just wait. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure
So
people will
everybody,
join.
we are waiting for you to come on live and join the conversation, guys. Yes.
Yeah,
I hope they'll all come back. Yeah. Hey everybody.
there are some
Welcome,
of the
welcome,
challenges we
welcome.
face.
Yes. Patrick,
Welcome,
how are you,
Patrick.
Patrick? Thank you. Thank you
Oh, we have
everybody for
48
coming back.
already.
Yeah, we can continue. Yes. So
All right,
today, if you're just joining the stream, we are talking about cancer. Yeah, we had an internet disconnection. So if you don't know what we were talking about before, please go through my page. We're talking about cancer. Watch that video, then come and join this one so that you understand properly what we've been talking about. But currently, we are talking about cancer, and we're here with a doctor, with a family physician who is going to be talking to us about cancer. After he's done talking, you will be free to ask him questions. Yes, guys? So let's go. Doctor, please feel free
thank
to
you.
share it to your community. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
So
I've done
sorry.
that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Grace. Welcome back, everyone. And for those that are just joining in, you're
Your
welcome.
mic,
So,
your mic,
okay,
your mic.
okay, okay. What about now? Can you hear me? All right. So what about now? Can you hear me now?
Hello. We're going to be talking to a medical doctor about cancer today, everyone. We want to talk to
Can you
him
hear me?
about how to avoid cancer, the things to do, the kind of food to stay away from. Yes, that's what we are going to be doing. And
Let me know if
this
you
was
can hear
brought
me.
to you from love. We love you and we want you to stay safe. We want you to be healthy. And that was why we brought this to you. Yeah. Are you able to get your
Right.
mic now?
Can you hear me?
No, I can't
It's
hear you.
working. Wow.
Hold on, let me check my order. I can't hear you properly.
What about others? Can anyone hear me? Please let me know if you can hear me if you are in the chat. Please let me know if you can hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me if you are in the
Okay.
chat.
Yeah.
There's an echo now.
Yeah.
Please let me know if you can hear me.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
All right. So this one thing that we all should be interested in talking about our health, because we can only be as effective in whatever we are doing in life as long as we are healthy. Okay, so everyone here at one time or the other, maybe you've had a relative or you currently have a relative, a friend, may even be in your community that has had a cancer or currently being treated for cancer. So I believe strongly that this interaction will go a long
I
way
don't know,
to
doctor.
why.
Doctor, can you
Okay,
hear me? Sorry. The
I can
chat
hear
can
you.
hear
I
you.
can hear you.
The chat can hear you,
Yes,
but I can't hear you
you
from
can't.
the screen here. I wonder what is going on. I can hear you from my phone here, but on the screen here, no.
Can you increase the volume? Increase the volume of your device. Check the volume of your device. so that there won't be echo.
Yes, I've done that. I've done that. Okay, you can go
What
on.
about
It's
now?
okay. You can go
Oh.
on.
All right, so it's important to note that apart from the
Still the same.
medical, the professional, I can hear myself. There's echo there. Is it possible to fix that?
Sorry. Go on.
Okay, okay. So it's important to note that every one of us, irrespective of your profession, irrespective of what you do or care about, you have one person or the other that may need this information or even need your support, for people who have been diagnosed of cancer. So I was talking still on the uh, introduction, talking about how cancer come about. Okay, the fact is that there is that genetic factor which I've established, and then there is the aspect of environmental factor. The environmental factors include exposure to toxins, like the westernization on this side, and then increased industrialization. So toxins are released, smoke everywhere, chemicals everywhere, talking about radiation. So these are also risk factors for developing cancer. Then we need to also talk about lifestyle. This is very important. Grace, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Wow. It seems Grace cannot hear. One person or the other that they need this information.
You can
Can you
continue.
can you
It's
can you
fine.
use your earpiece?
Can
Do you
you try
have?
that one?
No, I'm using
What
this
did
and
you
it's
do
fine.
before that I could hear you?
Talking about how cancer come about. Okay, the fact is that. What about now? Can you hear? Can you hear? No.
I can hear you from here, but I
With
can't
that,
hear you. Yeah.
it's okay. So, okay, I'll be fine with this.
Go
All
ahead.
right. So it's important to note that the lifestyle factor is a strong factor. And if you look at other risk factors for developing cancer, include obesity, overweight, or being obese. I've mentioned the positive family history, and it is stronger if it's a direct relationship, maybe a father, mother, sister, brother, and uncle or even aunt. So these are other factors. Talking about the dietary aspect, a lot of opportunities are here now to take fast foods, especially looking at the sedentary lifestyle that we all are beginning to really live in. And we need to take action. We'll be talking about things to do to prevent cancer. We see it a lot now. So there's the risk of being overweight, there's the risk of being obese. So it takes some intentional efforts for individuals to deal with these things to avoid developing, having to reduce their risk of developing a cancer. All right. I hope Grace can hear me. Our host seems not to be here, but I think other people in the audience can actually hear. All right. So it's important to look at the lifestyle factor. If we consume a lot of processed foods, if you consume a lot of processed foods, then you put yourself at risk of developing cancer. So a lot of oxidation processes. What this actually do is that they disturb the cells, they damage the cells in such a way that they're no longer healthy. I said earlier that there's a pattern of control as we grow, our cells increase, and that is controlled in a way. But where there is
I
no
can hear you.
control
I can
on
hear
these
you.
cells, nice, nice, nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. That's better now. All right. So where there is no control on these cells, then the individual is at risk of developing abnormal cells, which may eventually spread to other parts of the body. So there can be a normal. There's no growth that's actually normal in the sense of when something becomes something that changes the figure of an individual. So if there's a swelling in any part of an individual's body, you know, that is actually an abnormal growth of cells. I hope you understand that. That's actually an abnormal growth of cells because there's a way God has designed man such that the way our eyes are to appear, the skin, the fingers, our feet, they have been structured in such a way. Even though they are different, even in the individuals, they don't look alike. Even in twins, they don't look alike. But when it becomes an excessive growth, that's when we talk about a tumor, then that is abnormal. But when that's benign, we talk about having a benign growth. But when these cells, which are damaged, which are old, begin to grow uncontrollably, begin to multiply, and in fact, many times we still talk about the symptoms of cancer. Many times people
I
don't
can
actually
hear you now.
experience pain. Okay, thank you. People don't even have pain with such abnormal swellings. That is really risky. That's talking about cancer cells. So when this multiplication of cells occur and then they begin to move from their initial location to other parts of the body, then we talk about metastasis. That's when you hear the word, is a medical terminology, where when we say metastasize, that means the abnormal cells have moved from where they originated from. For example, uh, for uh, breast cancer, for example, which is the leading cause of cancers in the female. Now, if those abnormal cells move to the bones, then we talk about metastasis. If they move to the colon, we talk about metastasis. So I'll talk about the types of cancers that are found. We all talk about this. We talk about breast cancer, and interestingly, many people are coming out. In fact, I don't want to mention names. People in different professions, highly placed, are coming out to say, "Oh, they have developed this kind of a cancer," and at such a time, it's a very critical period for them. They need support. They need to take the right steps. Okay, so when we talk about the different types for the female, commonly talk about breast cancer, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer. These are common cancers in the female gender. While for the male, talk about prostate cancer, colon cancer, um, other cancers in females, in male, include thyroid cancer, pancreatic cancer. We can name them according to the organs. I've talked about the fact that it could be benign or metastatic. If it is benign, your doctor, once you get assessment and reassurance, that means there's no problem. But it is when it is diagnosed as cancer, that's when everyone is really, really concerned. The emotions begin to rise. Okay. In fact, before that diagnosis, many people begin to experience some mental challenges. In fact, that's why some people don't present to the hospital. And one of the reasons for high mortality in cancers, is late presentation. Okay, for more than 2 years, somebody has had the growth, they think there was nothing about it, and then until it began to increase in size, and then they began to probably see some discharge coming from that part, or pain from that part eventually, or pain in other parts of their body. So they begin to feel uncomfortable and present. But if such an individual has had presented earlier, the survival rate is actually higher compared to late presentation. So let me talk about the symptoms that can occur in an individual that is developing a cancer. Now, even though mentioning these symptoms does not automatically mean that it's cancer, but these are common symptoms. I hope I'm audible. Hope you can hear me. Hope you can hear me. Please let me know if I'm still audible. Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you for the
We can
feedback.
hear
Thank you,
you.
Grace.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Nice. We have about 100 and more people on this
We can hear
live.
you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. So I'm talking about the symptoms of cancer. I need to let you know that cancer most of the time um, may present with a swelling. And it's good if it's something that can easily be seen and discovered early. So if you notice an abnormal growth or increase in size of any part of your body, I'm talking generally now, that such an individual should be able to present to the hospital. So any swelling in any part of the body, the swelling may not be painful, it may be painful. Okay, abnormal discharge from such parts. Okay, I'll use for example breast cancer. Sometimes people talk about discovering a lump in their breast. Okay, many times, and I've had to interact with patients, and I've seen people come in 1 year, 2 years after a lump had been noticed. Thank God, if it is not cancer, very good, because there are other forms of growth that can happen in the breast that is not cancerous. But if it is cancer at such a time that such a woman is presenting, in fact, breast cancer can also occur in men, but it's more common in the female. So if such an individual is presenting 2 years after, at such a time, possibility of metastasis already occurred and all is there. Okay, so I've talked about swelling, I've talked about painless or painful swelling. Then I was talking about discharge. Okay, so in breast cancer, for example, very common uh, now, and is actually top on the list of female cancers. So I'll use that as an example. So an individual with a breast cancer initially may just feel that lump and it looks like it's really nothing. And some people begin to do some things to it, applying, especially depending on your belief, depending on your fears, depending on so many factors. People choose what they do with such symptom. So when that happens, the individual may decide to take a step. And if they don't take a step, the swelling can either reduce or increase. And when I say increase, that definitely it could be either of benign or cancer. Now, there are many other differentials. When I talk about differentials, I'm talking about different conditions that actually look like cancer that are not. Okay, so some people need to actually come to the hospital, because of fear. People don't want to come to see their doctor. So you need to see your doctor when you discover any swelling in any part of your body. And we're talking about breast cancer, for example, any lump at any time. As soon as you discover, please see your doctor. Okay, so for breast cancer now, lump is usually a common finding, and in some cases there may not even be a lump. Yes, there will not be a swelling, and there are already changes in the breast that may have even metastasized or spread to other parts of the body. So such an individual with a breast cancer may also have symptoms like a discharge from the breast, abnormal discharge. In fact, when the individual is not breastfeeding, even if the woman is breastfeeding, once the color is not milky, it's a bloody, dark color, something greenish, something strange coming out from being expressed. Such individual needs to present to their doctor. Very important. And other symptoms that such an individual with a breast cancer may have include bone pains. Of course, before we get to that point, there may have been some changes in the skin, of the breast, but bone pains may mean that the cancer has actually spread to the bones. In fact, difficulty in passing stool or even diarrhea, any abnormality in the gastrointestinal system, talking about the colon, may be a metastasis of a breast cancer to the colon. So see why I was emphasizing the need to present early. Okay, so that's just because of our time, just talk about breast cancer. Then let me talk about prostate cancer, talking about for men. Interestingly, from my findings, about 2.3 million persons globally are said to be diagnosed of breast cancer now. So it is very important we take action. We keep talking about it and we do what is needful. And of course, we'll still talk about options for treatment. So talking about for the men, okay, so that they don't say I've just been talking about how it affects the female. Prostate cancer is a common cancer in the male gender. I've mentioned the risk genetic factor, then there are environmental factors. There is the lifestyle factor. If an individual, a man, for example, works in a toxic, highly toxic environment, their normal work pattern, there are some chemicals that are actually toxic to the cells. And then this can change the way the prostate gland begins to function. Okay? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Hello, Grace.
Is it true? Yes, I
Very
can.
good.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yeah.
can. I can hear you.
Yeah. Is it true? Okay. Let me just ask. Let me just.
Okay, are there questions in the chat? Are there questions in the chat? Do we have questions in the
Let
chat?
me type it. I'll type
Okay,
it. You
okay.
see it on the screen.
Fine, fine. Okay, so while waiting for that, a male with symptoms of prostate cancer usually may just be normal enlargement, which now progresses. I talk about increase in size of a particular part. So when the prostate gland, which is situated in the bladder, begins to increase in size, and that increase, it actually increases with age, and that's one of the factors when it comes to cancer, increasing age. Interestingly, there are now findings that younger age groups, the younger generation, are coming up with cancers. So the question is why, and what should be done? What can we do now? People in their 20s, in their 30s, developing breast cancer. It's quite alarming. Have you posted the question, Grace? Yes, I saw one interesting question, and I will take that question.
Yes, I
Okay.
have.
On prostate. Okay. Okay, is that from you on prostate? Lack of sex causes prostate cancer in men. Definitely we talk about that. Okay, so the prostate definitely
Yes.
produces
Yes.
chemicals that helps in the formation of the semen and helps to uh, give it all that it needs, all the energy that it needs. Talking about uh, this common question that now a lot of controversies. Is it true that lack of sex causes prostate cancer in men? Okay, I would say yes and no. Actually, there are researches that have actually been done. For example, in Harvard Medical School, that some thousands of men were actually studied who developed breast cancer. and they found out that there were varying exposures when it comes to intimacy for those men. So they've come out with a theory that is there a possibility that not having sex enough, intimacy now, can make an individual to develop cancer. So of course, there's a possibility. Now, the fact is that there's not just one cause when it comes to development of cancer. Do you get the point? So we cannot say clearly, because research is still ongoing on this area. I need to let you know that on this area, you cannot say definitely that that is the major cause or that is the only cause. I've mentioned genetic factor, I've mentioned environmental factor, I've mentioned dietary lifestyle factor when it comes to developing development of cancer. So the same for prostate cancer. So we can't say not having intimacy, not having intimacy enough. Some people may not like what I'm saying, okay, may predispose a man to developing uh, prostate cancer. All right. So, but there have been that establishment. I also want to say that is important. The way it has been described is that the more you exercise your prostate, the more there's ejaculation. It helps to remove toxins from the prostate, and so that keeps your prostate healthy. Okay, that's what as another study has found out. Okay, so those are very important. And for couples, of course, it shouldn't just be because you want to prevent prostate cancer or breast cancer. That's why you want to get into intimacy. There's so many reasons why we should be intimate. I know that's the fact. There's so many reasons why we should be intimate. So if we say uh, people who don't have sex regularly or intimacy regularly are at risk of developing prostate cancer, that is not completely true. That is not completely true. That's the fact. So I hope I've been able to address that that part. Grace, can you hear me? I hope I've been able to address that part.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Okay. So we can welcome more questions. So I was talking about symptoms. I was talking about
Thank you.
prostate cancer, for example. So when it may even before we talk about prostate cancer, I talk about benign condition and the cancer uh, diagnosis itself. Now, in a benign state, there may be an abnormal enlargement of the prostate gland. And the way as a man, one of the ways to know that your prostate is being enlarged include when you begin to have difficulty passing urine, when you have to strain, when you are spending more time uh, before urine comes out, or when the flow is not as strong as it used to be. Talk about poor stream of urine, or when your urine begins to split. And a number of people are able to manage this. They don't talk. But interestingly, some people present in emergency situations. And that's where we have to now put catheter, urethral catheter into the genital through the urethra at that time for a man to get relief. Okay, so those are some symptoms. Other symptoms include feeling of incomplete bladder emptying. As a man, maybe you just used the restroom, you felt okay, you have urinated, but you just still feel that there's still some urine in there. I don't know whether this happens to females, but feeling sometimes it can happen to the female depending on other conditions. Talking about urinary tract infection. Okay, but for the men, usually feeling that there's still urine in the bladder could be one symptom of prostate disease. Could be say it is cancer. But when such an individual begins to see blood in their urine, bloody urine, passage of bloody urine, then that is a red flag. That is a red flag. You need to present to your doctor as soon as possible. Interestingly, it may even be as bad that with urinary tract infection. Okay, but having enlarged prostate really may put an individual at risk of recurrent urinary tract infection, and also put them at risk of kidney problems. There are many complications that can arise from not presenting early. So those are some of the symptoms that you can see in both. We talk about breast cancer and then prostate cancer, which are common. Now, I need to mention that there are complications that could arise before individuals present to the hospital. Now, these complications commonly may include unintentional weight loss. That's one of the ways some people get to know. And this situation is common in some conditions, some organs, common with some cancers with some organs. Now, talking about pancreatic cancer, talking about colorectal cancer, usually you don't get to feel any swelling anywhere for the individual developing a pancreatic cancer. It may just be that with loss of weight, sugar problems, and so many other symptoms that can develop a symptom. Unintentional weight loss, that's the way I will put it, because some people intentionally decide to lose weight, but when it's unintentional, what you wear begins to get loose on you, then that is one symptom of a cancer. Other symptoms, as I mentioned earlier, include pain, bone pains, and all. Now, let me look at this. What food can we eat to avoid cancer? Okay, I can hear you.
Hello, sir.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
so I will always pin questions.
Questions.
I'll
Okay.
pin
Fine.
questions. Yeah, I'll
Fine.
pin
Fine.
the questions. So look at pin messages.
Okay. I'm doing that right now. Yes, I'm doing that right now. All right. Thank you. So, what we should be avoiding, really, first of all, let's talk about what we should stop, and then we talk about what we should be doing more. Talking about diet, what are the foods that we can eat? That's the question there. The foods that we can eat to avoid cancer. Now, the foods that we need to avoid, first of all, because you can be eating foods to avoid cancer, and yet you can uh, try to still be eating, you may still be eating foods that may put you at risk. So the need to avoid as much as possible, I know, as much as possible, processed foods, fries, don't come for me. The burgers, people that love burgers, all the fries, these are things that processed food, these are things that put us individuals at risk of developing cancer. Now, what happens is that those modifications to food, actually, what they do is that they disturb the cell growth. They affect the cells. They make the cells to grow in ways that are not normal. I hope you're getting me. Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me.
We can hear
Okay,
you.
okay, okay. Thank you. All right. So talking about foods, so highly processed
We
foods,
can hear you.
oils. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for the feedback. All right. So these are things that should be avoided. Sodas, a lot of drinks, energy drinks. These are things that people are getting to do more. I talk about the sedentary lifestyle. not just, for content creators, for example, if you are not intentional about your diet, what you put by your side as you are trying to make your content, shoot your videos, come on a live, if you choose the fries more than the veggies, then you will be putting yourself at risk. All right. So, what should we be eating? Of course, we should be eating vegetables. We should be eating fruits. I'm sure you've heard this before. So it's not just about saying them again, it's about doing them. I personally, intentionally, I go to get fruits. I intentionally, go to get fruits. I eat fruits intentionally. I mean, when I say intentionally, I mean you have to drive a particular place, not your regular market for food. It just be your fruit market, to get fruits. Very important. And vegetables. Okay, so when we eat all this, they serve as antioxidants. They serve to remove toxic substances from our bodies, from the cells. And then the bulk effects for colon cancer, for example, people at risk of colon cancer, part of the risk, apart from genetic factor, environmental factor, includes dietary factor. That dietary factor in such a way that um, if such an individual is experiencing chronic constipation, that gives room for the toxic substances that should be released. You know what I'm talking about? Released, that should be passed out, through defecation, allows such to remain in the system for long. So when you take fruits, when you take vegetables, it increases the passage, the time that food or the digested food actually passes through your system. So we should be eating fruits, we should be eating vegetables, we should be drinking more water, okay, which is very essential. All right. And other very important natural things that we can do, and I will say this with caution, and this should be with moderation. Inflammation has been implicated in chronic medical conditions, inflammation of the body. So things that can cause inflammation, I've mentioned processed foods, the fries, but things that can help to fight inflammation includes turmeric, includes ginger, includes garlic. Now, there are side effects to these things. That's why we don't put so much emphasis so that people do not abuse them. The use of garlic. Remember during COVID period, people were using a lot of these things to fight to fight COVID. And interestingly, these natural food substances have been found out to have anti-inflammatory effects, highly anti-inflammatory the body. Other things that you can take include nuts, granules, cashew nuts. These are all beneficial. So people that actually have high risk of developing cancer are people who also smoke. Apart from taking alcohol, smoking has been, is a high factor when it comes to cardiovascular diseases and cancers. Smoking, drinking alcohol, lack of exercise. I need to mention that. It's one of the reasons why people develop. When it's sedentary, there's no movements. Everything is just there. The individual is at risk of developing a cancer. So I'll quickly mention the environmental factors. I mentioned exposure to radiation. So that's why we have to take care of our skin. As when we started earlier, I was talking about coming across a video by a dermatologist talking about how we need to moisturize our skin. Even if you are a man, you need to take care of your skin. Skin cancer is also another form of cancer, and one of the risk factors is, apart from other conditions, is exposure to ultraviolet radiation, pollution, chemicals from asbestos, pesticides. These are things that may predispose an individual to cancer. I'll just mention a few more symptoms, then we can go to the steps that are involved in making a diagnosis and then in treatment of cancer. Now, some other symptoms include fatigue. When you just begin to feel unnecessarily tired, even though you may be eating as much as you've been doing before. Some people even lose appetite completely, begin to lose, maybe a gradual process, begins to lose uh, appetite. Such an individual may be having a cancer. So you need to find out, actually, you need to see your doctor to for proper assessment to make that diagnosis if it is there. But once we do what is right, God with us, we will not be having this kind of diagnosis. Now, changes in skin, for example, an individual begins to notice changes in their skin. That's maybe a symptom that they should note. They should not take for granted. So, what should you do if you notice an abnormal swelling? If you notice something that was not just there before, it's not normal to pass urine with difficulty. It's not normal to pass bloody urine. So what should you do? You need to present to the hospital. A diagnosis of cancer is not made by looking. No doctor can make a diagnosis, even though you may suspect. The diagnosis is usually made uh, with a biopsy, histology of a sample or a complete removal of that abnormal growth and a study of those cells to really be sure that they are actually abnormal cells and cancerous cells. For breast cancer, for example, some people have thought that they had breast cancer when in fact, they didn't have breast cancer. And some people that has affected their mental health, has set them into depression, anxiety. Okay, so if we are going to talk about diagnosis is not made by just looking. Diagnosis is made by going through proper interaction with your doctor where there will be history taking. The history will start with the complaints that you may have. We start with other things that the doctor will explore around that complaint. We talk about your social history, medical history, family history. These are some of the things that will be done. Then some tests may actually be requested. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay.
Can hear you.
Okay, so some of the tests that may be requested include imaging, radiological studies like a scan, X-ray, a CT scan, MRI. These are some tests that are important when it comes to uh, checking out whether an individual is developing a cancer or not. Some blood tests actually may be done. Individuals may have actually lost blood. It's actually one of the causes of low blood level. In fact, also may cause low blood sugar depending on the type of cancer. So blood tests can also be done, especially to look out for what we call tumor markers. There are certain chemicals in the body that the level may rise when an individual has a cancer. So it's specific for breast cancer, also specific for prostate cancer, and there are other forms of cancer. So what are the treatment options before we take questions and we move towards the end of this conversation? Now, treatments are available. Some people have strange beliefs that people have about cancer. For example, some people think that it's contagious. Cancer is not contagious, okay? Cancer is not contagious. Hope you can hear me. Okay, that you may, if somebody has a need to take care of someone suffering from cancer, doesn't
We
mean
can hear
that.
you.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Amor Ara said, Doctor, she's sleeping. Yes, I understand. Usually, Grace is usually online, and so she will need some rest. All right, so we are talking about treatment. Grace, yes, I was talking about you. Interestingly, sleep is very important when it comes to prevention of cancer. All right, so we're talking about treatment options. I was talking about the fact that people have myths, false beliefs about cancer. It's not contagious. That's the fact. Except even for people that live in the same house, father to child, mother to daughter, doesn't spread like that. If it's in the gene, in the cells, it's there. But when it comes to contact in terms of touch, you don't need to avoid a person suffering from cancer. In fact, anyone that has had a relative or a friend diagnosed of cancer, the trouble, I mean, the emotional trauma it could cause, and the kind of support that is needed when you talk about support, emotional support, moral support, even financial support. If you need to do this, you don't need to be afraid. People are afraid, thinking that because they are taking care of someone with a cancer, that means they can get a cancer. No, 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 no. And then the fact that it is treatable and manageable. There are some cancers that are curable. Cancers are actually curable if detected early and treatment is started early. Hope you got that. Treatment and management starting early will reduce mortality rates. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying that people should learn to present. They should avoid that fear. Of course, it's natural, fear can come, but you can deal with it. You can talk to a friend, talk to a family member, see your doctor. In fact, like I said, some people are not actually suffering from a cancer. What they are doing is suffering from a mental illness that has developed from a benign condition. Some people, by the time they come, and we check them, thinking they have had the prostate cancer. We check everything. There's nothing, no trace of prostate cancer, and they feel relieved, but they would have suffered mentally, that emotional suffering. Okay, so let's move. Grace is really sleepy. Now, other treatment options that are available include surgery. Surgery is a treatment option. The part that is abnormal can be
I'm not
removed.
sleeping now. I'm listening.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. That's I got it those in there. All right. So there are options: radiation, chemotherapy, immunotherapy. These are options that are available for treatment of cancer. I think we have hit at some very vital points today. So what should we be doing? There are some important strategies, and we've talked about diet. We must change our diet. It has to be intentional. It has to be intentional. And then must exercise regularly. What is recommended is at least 30 minutes, brisk walking, can cycle. If you're able to swim, you can swim, cycling. These are forms of exercises that we can do to help us prevent cancer. Avoid tobacco smoking, avoid alcohol, protect yourself from the sun, and I'm sure with God on your side, God with us, we will be safe from cancer. Thank you for listening. I hope somebody got some vital information there. Oh, what about hereditary? Yes, Liz. Okay, I can see. Uh, yes, hereditary factor. That's the genetic factor I was talking about. As the genetic factor is heredity. Is heritable. That's the word. It can be transferred from parents to their children. Okay, so it's hereditary, like some breast cancer, prostate cancer, some other forms of cancer. So it could be hereditary. So it's a combination of factors. That's the emphasis I'm bringing here. It's not just one factor. So that a parent or grandparents had any form of cancer does not automatically mean that the next generation or even
Doctor,
people in subsequent generations will have. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
what about aunties and uncles? If
Yes.
they have cancer, can it affect us?
Yes, people with relatives other than their direct parents also have a risk, even though it's not a direct relationship or direct risk. Actually, puts there's a positive um, factor there. So there's a likelihood, but it's not as strong as in parents. It's not as strong as in parents. So there's a possibility.
Thank
Do we
you.
have
Thank
questions?
you.
I hope you're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.
I
Okay.
hope we have not missed
So,
out
are you ready for
any question.
questions?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Let's take questions. Let's take
Okay.
questions. Hope you can hear me. I can hear you.
Okay.
I
Okay,
can hear you.
yes, we are taking questions from the chat. If you have questions in the chat, let us know, okay? We are taking questions. Okay. So I'm looking for questions in the chat. Once I get a question, I'll pin it to the chat.
Okay, we are taking questions.
Okay, let's see.
Thank you for the emojis. Thank you, everyone that has paid
Okay, please
attention.
ask
Thank you.
questions
Thank you.
relating to the topic at hand. Hmm. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
What's that?
I cannot read that question.
Okay,
Next
okay.
question, please. Yeah, guys, come on. We are asking questions about cancer. Let's go. Okay, I'll ask a question.
All
Yeah.
right, please.
So, like at what age should people start being concerned?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay, thank you for that question. Very important. So there are generally we need to consider from the age of 40 for many screenings. Um, of course, early screening preferable for people who have a positive family history. You know, it's not too early to start from their 30s to start checking. For example, doing an ultrasound scan of the breast, maybe okay. Before we even talk about ultrasound scan, there should be what we call self-breast examination, but that is not actually being emphasized anymore because it puts people in fear. They are too conscious of their body now, and that is not too good. But when a woman or a man notices something abnormal, strange growth in their body, then they should find their doctor and do the needful. But when it comes to screening, basic tests include some radiological investigations, like the breast scan I talked about. For people above 40, for the female mammogram is important. I talked about tumor markers the other time. For people with high risk, maybe positive family history of cancer. And for the men, talk about kidney, urethra, and bladder scan. The prostate scan is also important. Okay, some people don't want to hear this. When you enter the doctor's room, when you have proper interaction with your doctor, and your doctor may actually decide to have your prostate checked in the examination room. And that's important to note the size, if there's any increase or abnormal fillings over that gland. So that will talk about digital rectal examination that can be done by your doctor. Okay, of course, with your consent. Okay, so these are some of the screenings that can be done for breast cancer and then for uh, prostate cancer. So individuals who do not do a routine medical check should begin to do this, especially when you are now above 40, you're 40 and above, you should have a yearly medical check. This is very important. Not out of fear, but the fact that you just need to monitor and remember, talk about early diagnosis reduces risk of mortality. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your your comments. Thank you for your comments. Okay, we can we still take more questions? More questions? More questions? Thank you as well. You're supposed to have moderators for this live, moderators check check on comments that are actually not acceptable in the community. Can you hear me, Grace? Can you hear me? Okay, okay, okay. You can hear me. All right. Okay. Thank you, thank you. Okay, I was saying that it's important to have some form of control in the chat. Okay, Sebuna, thank you, thank you. Welcome for those that are just joining in. Perpetual OP. Okay, okay.
There
Okay.
was something else.
Any more questions?
Sir, let me just say something. So I'm having connection issues and sound issues today. Yeah, but next time it's gonna be better.
Okay, I heard you. I heard you. I heard you. It's okay. It's okay. Mm.
Yeah. So, do you guys have questions? Please feel free to ask questions, okay?
Yes, a
Yeah. We
bonus.
are talking about cancer. He was talking about cancer. He told us several things on how to avoid cancer, like the food we should eat, the food we should not eat. Yeah. So, do you have questions about cancer? Okay. The funniest thing
Okay,
is
since.
I am unable to delete comments from my hand. I don't know what is wrong,
Oh,
but
okay.
next time it definitely won't be like this.
All right. Yes. It's okay. If we don't have questions, we may call it.
So, okay, let me ask the questions
Okay. All right.
since people are talking about different things. Yes. Mm, okay. Yeah. Okay. 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 This one. Okay. Let's talk about food. Okay.
Thank
Mm.
you,
So, like,
Aurora.
if you
Thank you
want to
for.
check for
Thank you,
cancer, is
Aurora.
it free? Is it free to get? Can we get free cancer checks in some countries? In countries like Africa?
I like. Thank you, Aurora. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Talking about
In
screening.
continents like Nigeria?
Uh, talk about Africa, Nigeria. All right. So one of the things that makes the difference in early detection, treatment, management, and reduction in mortality is actually related to the environment. When I say environment, I'm talking about uh, where the individual is actually. There are some countries that have great commitment, support, uh, many tools, many machines, many researches still ongoing to deal with cancer. All right. So when it comes to screening, so it's actually it depends on the country or state. Whether the individual is on insurance or they want to take up on a private treatment. So it differs for different countries and even within the same country for different states. Okay, for example, in Nigeria, apart from the National Health Insurance Agency, the scheme that we usually we know, actually, there is that opportunity for individuals to have regular screenings depending on the package they are on with their HMOs. Now, for the states, Lagos State, for example, has that provision also, the insurance scheme, also to allow for people to come to see doctor. Of course, they would have made some payments ahead. Okay, so they don't have to really come to make payments for some of the screenings that they need to do. So occasionally we have general screening opportunities, um, medical outreaches, and also people should take advantage of those. But before talking about medical outreaches and campaigns, especially on days that will mark uh, cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, other forms of cancer days. There are world recognized days for marking these things. So individuals can personally, you don't have to wait till there's a public announcement for a screening before you actually get to see your doctor. So the screening, as I mentioned, should start as early as possible, especially for people above 40, and earlier screening better for people who have a strong positive family history of cancer. I hope you got that. So I don't know what it is like. Of course, in the United States, uh, there are so many facilities. We are not just talking
Thank
about
you, sir.
professional. We're not just talking about the skill. We are talking about even facilities that are available, for this treatment. On this side, sometimes people have to travel distances to access care for treatment of cancer. So those are some of the challenges when it comes to treatment of cancer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your
You're
question.
welcome.
So, does anyone have more questions? If you don't have more questions, we are going to let the doctor go. Please, everyone, be respectful of the doctor, okay?
You're welcome, Alex. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I need to
What
mention
is your
this. I
question?
did mention.
Yeah.
I need to mention
Mhm.
this as part of ways to prevent
Go ahead,
cancer.
ask. What
Okay.
what question do you have?
Okay. Someone is asking a question. Okay, it's important to note that relationship matters are also very important. People who keep malice, easily angered, and having so much of relationship issues. They are worried, anxious, sometimes depressed. All these emotional instabilities can actually reduce the immunity of an individual, and then put them at risk of developing cancers. It's actually been studied that there's a possibility that some people who are having serious relationship challenges, refusing to talk to someone they should be talking to, feeling strong emotions of uh, depression or anxiety can also put them at risk of a cancer. So we need to uh, relate well. We need to do better in our relationships. We need to just, it's a choice to be happy or not to be happy. It's a choice, and it's always good to make that good choice of being happy. Take care of yourself. Your health is not just about uh, what you eat. It's also about what you think about, what you say about yourself, what you say about others. So we need to be building healthy relationships. We need to be strong in ourselves. You can't really love others if you don't love yourself. So you need to love yourself. You need to take care of yourself. And I'm sure the world will be a better place as we do that. All right. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Linda. Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
very much. Yes. So you're ready to leave, huh?
Yeah. Thank you
Are
so
you
much.
ready to
Thank
leave,
you
sir?
for
Are
having
you
me.
ready to leave
If we
now?
don't have any, if you don't have any
Okay.
question,
Okay, but first, before you go, we have to thank
okay.
you.
All right. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Thank you so much for joining the stream. Sorry today we have a bit of connection and audio issues, but much later, if you're going to host another one, it's going to be better. Okay. So we want to thank you. We want to say a huge thank you to you for coming on live, for talking to us. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. Thank you for what you're doing for the community, because this is really going to benefit a whole lot of people. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And we hope that next time you come on live again to speak with us. This is our first time, so obviously there are going to be some issues. But in the future, definitely these issues is not going to be there. So thank you so much. We truly, truly appreciate you. I,
You're
for one,
welcome.
I appreciate you. Thank you so very much, Doctor. Yeah. I hope you
You're
have an
welcome.
amazing day. Yeah. God bless you.
Welcome.
Take care of
You
yourself.
too.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye. Bye for now. Bye.
Okay. All right. Bye. Bye. Bye, sir. So you guys, you're not being nice in the chat. You're not being nice in you're not respectful of him. Don't you know he has things to do? All right, okay, so I'm going to end the chat. I'm going to end the live stream because there's a lot of connectivity issues going on. So I'm just going to end it. Yeah. We are going to talk some other time. Thank you everyone for joining the stream. Next time I'm going to organize for him to come back, but the next time he comes back, you guys are going to be very respectful of him. Okay? I'm going to be organizing lots of this, probably like once a week, not with him, but several other people, so that we can also learn many things, you know. It doesn't have to be every time about hi, hello. But like I want us to learn things that will actually help us, that will add value to our lives. Please, if you've joined this stream, kindly share it with your friends and family. Okay, guys? Thank you so very much. Bye.